Let me ask you something. What if everything you thought was wrong with you was actually the key to unlocking the truth behind this illusion we call the world? What if the parts of yourself you've rejected, your anger, your guilt, your darkest impulses, aren't flaws to fix, but signals that your vibration is surpassing what the matrix can handle? I'm not just talking metaphorically. I mean energetically, spiritually, literally. We are walking antennas of multidimensional frequency, and when our shadow vibration, the frequency of our repressed truth, starts to rise above the programmed bandwidth of the collective matrix, something begins to crack. And it's not just you, it's the simulation itself. You've seen it, haven't you? Glitches in time, people acting like NPCs, sudden deja vu that feels prophetic, technology malfunctioning around you, emotional breakdowns that lead to clarity. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're vibrating beyond the design. And the matrix is struggling to keep up. Sign number 1, you feel an unbearable pressure, but no one else around you seems to notice it. You wake up feeling like something is wrong with the world, not just your life. The air feels heavy. The people feel fake. The days repeat like a loop. But when you look around, everyone else is scrolling, working, numbing. Why? Because your shadow is trying to show you the lie. You're not just out of alignment, you're misaligned with the illusion. Your higher self is trying to override the program, and the shadow, yes, all your suppressed fears and buried wounds, is the power source. The pain is the portal. Now here's the wild part. The matrix doesn't penalize you for being light. It penalizes you for being whole. It doesn't care if you meditate, chant, or visualize light. But the moment you integrate your rage, your lust, your jealousy, your grief, when you allow your shadow to rise without judgment, it causes friction with the artificial harmony the matrix enforces. That's when you start to feel like a glitch, like an anomaly. That's when the system starts pushing back. Sign number 2, you start noticing synchronicities that are too precise to ignore, and they become darker. Not just angel numbers and feathers. You see patterns in chaos. You hear your name in random conversations. You think of someone and they message you, but with a strange, almost eerie undertone. You dream of situations that happen days later, but always with an emotional charge. The matrix is trying to recalibrate, but your shadow vibration is feeding the quantum field with raw, unfiltered data. You're not just manifesting, you're distorting. Your energy is collapsing probability waves in unpredictable ways. And that's not bad. That's powerful. But power, when unconscious, is dangerous. So I ask you, have you mastered your inner chaos, or are you just reacting to it? Sign number 3, you begin to feel isolated, even in crowds. Not lonely. Isolated like you're in a different dimension looking at people who are sleepwalking. Their words don't land. Their eyes don't meet yours. Their reactions feel scripted. You're not imagining this. Your shadow vibration is altering your resonance, and you're phasing out of the collective frequency net. It's like you're becoming invisible to the program. And that's why people either ignore you or react to you with irrational hostility. Have you noticed how some people suddenly dislike you for no reason? Or how others are drawn to you like a magnet, confessing their deepest secrets within minutes? That's not charisma. That's polarity. Your integrated shadow is emitting a field that either wakes people up or terrifies them. The matrix thrives on predictability. Your unpredictability is a threat. Sign number 4. Technology begins to malfunction around you. Your phone glitches, lights flicker, your computer crashes during important moments. GPS leads you the wrong way. No, it's not just Mercury retrograde. It's your frequency short-circuiting the artificial systems. You're literally too real for the simulation. Your energy is disrupting code. And if you've been doing deep emotional work, shadow journaling, inner child healing, trauma release, then this is the confirmation you've been waiting for. The more you integrate, the more unstable the illusion becomes. But here's the paradox. Your shadow isn't chaos. It's order in disguise. It's the cosmic intelligence encoded in your suffering. And when you stop suppressing it, when you stop judging it, when you finally let it speak, you become something the matrix cannot contain. So I ask you this: what have you been afraid to feel, and what would happen if you felt it all at once? Sign number 5. Time becomes non-linear. You lose track of hours. Days feel like loops. You remember things that never happened. You forget things that should be unforgettable. This is not memory loss. It's memory reordering. Your shadow vibration is accessing timelines your conscious mind wasn't designed to hold. You're starting to bleed into parallel realities. You remember a version of yourself that never existed here but exists somewhere. You're tapping into your multidimensional self. And the matrix, it's only programmed for 3D linear processing. So when your shadow pulls you into emotional dimensions beyond time, grief that feels ancient, rage that feels ancestral, your perception glitches. You start to see the strings behind the curtain. You realize that time isn't real. Only resonance is. Have you ever had a moment where you just knew something had already happened, but you had no proof? That's a timeline leak. Your shadow is the key to those realms. Because the shadow holds the truth the ego denies, that you are not one self, but many. And when those cells converge, the matrix can't keep up. It starts to collapse under the weight of your authenticity. And here's the most mind-blowing part. The matrix needs you to stay fragmented. Not just emotionally, but temporally. The moment your past, present, and future selves begin to integrate through the portal of shadow, you become a singularity. A soul that bends time, not obeys it. So what does this mean practically? It means stop running from your triggers. Stop trying to fix your shadow. Start listening to it. Start witnessing it without judgment. Let it speak. Because your shadow is not here to destroy you. It's here to destroy the illusion. And that illusion is starting to fall apart. Let's pause here. We've only uncovered 5 signs, but already you're starting to feel it, aren't you? That strange electricity in your bones? That pull behind your eyes? That sensation that something sacred is waking up inside you? Good. Let me ask you something radically honest. What if you were never meant to heal in the traditional sense? What if your pain, your wounds, your contradictions, they weren't meant to be removed, but remembered? Not as scars, but as codes. Keys. Energy signatures carrying the exact vibration needed to crack the matrix from within. We've already walked through 5 signs that your shadow vibration is destabilizing the simulation. But now we're stepping into the deepest territory. The final 2 signs that not only confirm your shadow is overloading the matrix, but that you are becoming the rewrite function. You're not just glitching the system, you're becoming the system breaker. The walking error code. The virus of truth in a world built on lies. Sign number 6. You begin to speak things into existence, but not from your light, not from your conscious intentions, from your shadow. You speak in raw truth, sometimes in anger, sometimes in fear, sometimes in unfiltered emotion, and the world responds. Someone you were thinking about calls. A situation you dreaded manifests. A deep truth you voiced in frustration suddenly becomes reality. This isn't the law of attraction. This is the law of resonant shadow. You're not just projecting energy. You're collapsing timelines with your authenticity. You're speaking from the place that was never programmed, your inner void. The matrix was never coded to respond to your soul's wound, only your surface-level affirmations. But now, your primal voice, the one that was silenced in childhood, is coming online. And when you speak from that place, the false world trembles. But here's the danger. If you're not conscious of this power, it can create chaos, because it's not filtered through ego. It's pure manifestation. That's why you have to become radically responsible for your emotions. Not suppress them, not spiritual bypass them, but own them, transmute them. Because your voice is no longer just a vibration, it's a frequency override device. You ever notice how your words cut deeper now? How people feel your presence before you even arrive? That's not charisma. That's the field of your shadow frequency expanding. And only those who've integrated their own wounds can meet you there. The rest, they'll either attack or flee. That's not your fault. That's your field doing its job. So I ask you, are you ready to wield the power of your shadow with precision instead of projection? Sign number 7, you begin to witness the matrix reacting to you. Not just subtly, overtly. You see systems resist you. Plans fall apart the moment you engage. Bureaucratic walls rise against your flow. Technology blocks or delays your progress. Authority figures become uneasy around you. It's not paranoia. It's a spiritual firewall. You've become the unpredictable variable in a system designed for predictability. Your shadow frequency introduces entropy. It destabilizes the simulation's illusion of control. That's why things around you feel increasingly off. You're not imagining it. The matrix is adapting to you now. You've become the central node of disruption. But here's the twist. This isn't punishment. It's permission. It's the invitation to stop trying to play by rules that were never written for your soul. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to invert the structure from the inside, to walk among the programmed without being programmed, to carry suffering as sacred data. You're the system's soft spot, the vulnerability it cannot patch, because you're not rebelling, you're remembering, and that remembrance is contagious. You've probably seen it. People around you start waking up, not because you preached, but because your presence carries resonance. Your shadow vibration ripples through the field like a signal. Others start having dreams, activations, emotional breakdowns. They don't even know why, but their nervous system recognizes you as a mirror of what they've buried. This is the real awakening, not light and love, but depth and darkness, the sacred dark, the holy wound. Let me tell you something that no spiritual book will admit. The Matrix was never designed to contain integrated beings, only fragmented ones. The more whole you become, light and shadow united, the less the Matrix can classify you. You become quantum, and in quantum terms, you are both wave and particle, both glitch and code, both virus and cure. And now we get to the why. Why is your shadow vibration overloading the Matrix? Because you're part of the next evolutionary node of consciousness. You're not here to escape the Matrix. You're here to overload it until it collapses, and then reprogram it from within. Let that land. You're not broken. You're the breakpoint. So what do you do now? First, stop chasing spiritual perfection. That's a trap. The Matrix loves when you chase enlightenment like a product. It keeps you distracted from the real work, integration. Second, start observing your triggers like sacred data. Every emotional reaction is a message from your shadow, not something to fix, something to decode. Ask yourself, what part of me is not being seen? What am I afraid to feel? Where am I still trying to perform for a system that doesn't recognize my soul? Third, create friction consciously. Speak truth in places where silence is expected. Break patterns in your daily life. Disrupt the energetic flow of your environment with intentional chaos, not recklessness. Sacred misalignment. Because only through disruption can new codes emerge. And fourth, build resonance. Find others who are also glitching, who are also vibrating outside the norm. Create resonance fields, circles, tribes, not to escape the Matrix, but to echo your frequency until it becomes undeniable. That's how the old system breaks. Not with war, with waveform distortion. You become the hum that breaks the walls. I want to leave you with a question, an ancient one, buried in every mystic tradition, but now more crucial than ever. What is the one truth about yourself you've never dared to say out loud because you knew it would change everything? Say it, write it, live it, because that truth is the code. The Matrix was built to suppress that specific vibration. And once you release it, once you embody it, the simulation cannot hold your form. You become uncontainable. And that, my friend, is the beginning of a new world. Let's take a breath here. You've now discovered all 7 signs that your shadow is overloading the Matrix. But there's one final layer. One final break in the code. In the last part, we're going to reveal the aftershock, what happens after the Matrix begins to fracture around you, and how to survive the collapse with grace, power, and purpose. Now that you know all 7 signs, you can't unknow them. Something inside you has shifted, and if you're honest, you can feel it, can't you? That trembling under the surface. That quiet chaos in the corners of your reality. You're not just seeing the Matrix break. You're the one breaking it. So now the question is, what happens next? Most people think breaking the Matrix leads to some kind of blissful liberation. Like a spiritual Disneyland where everything is peaceful and light. But the real aftermath isn't pretty. It's raw. It's wild. It's initiation. Because once the matrix fractures, your soul has to step in and build something new. And that's where most people freeze. Let me say this clearly. The collapse doesn't happen out there. It begins inside you. You'll start to feel it first as a deep identity death. The you that was built to survive in the old system, your people-pleasing, your spiritual ego, your trauma responses, your social masks, they all begin to unravel. And it feels like dying, because it is. But not in the way the mind fears. It's ego death, timeline death, illusion death. You're not losing yourself. You're shedding the false self that was stitched together to survive a simulated reality. You'll feel like you're going crazy. You'll question everything: your path, your relationships, your spiritual practices. You'll wonder if you've made a mistake. But that confusion is sacred. Confusion is the womb of creation. The old operating system is crashing and the screen is going black. That's not failure. That's the reboot. But here's what you must understand to survive this phase. Don't rush to rebuild. Don't force clarity. Don't try to control the collapse. Let it burn. Because in the ashes, something divine is forming. A new architecture, a new frequency, a new you. You'll go through spiritual fatigue. Like your soul is tired of being awake. You'll miss the comfort of the matrix, the numbness, the simplicity. You'll crave ignorance, but you won't be able to go back. Not because someone is stopping you, but because your soul has outgrown the illusion. So here's what you do. 1. Ground your nervous system. This isn't just spiritual. It's biological. Your body is recalibrating to a higher frequency while shedding survival patterns. That's going to feel like anxiety, restlessness, even depression. Touch the earth. Breathe deeply. Eat grounding food. Let your body catch up to your soul. 2. Stop seeking external validation. You're not going to get applause for breaking the matrix. In fact, people might think you're unstable. That's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be transmitted. And only those ready to glitch with you will feel your frequency. 3. Create sacred space. Not just physically, but energetically. Protect your field. Spend time in silence. Use sacred tools: music, incense, ritual, prayer. These aren't luxuries. They're lifelines. They remind your soul that it's safe to remain open in a collapsing world. 4. Let go of linear goals. When the matrix falls, time warps. You might not know what you're doing next week, let alone in 5 years. That's not failure, it's freedom. Learn to live in synchronicity. Follow signs. Listen to dreams. Trust the weird, illogical pull of the soul. 5. Be willing to be unpopular. You're going to trigger people. Not because you're unkind, but because your presence makes them confront what they've buried. Don't dim your frequency to make others comfortable. Instead, become a lighthouse. Those who are ready will find you. You may ask, but how do I know I'm on the right path if nothing makes sense anymore? The answer is, when nothing makes sense, you've left the simulation. Because the soul doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in spirals, in symbols, in sacred echoes. And you're learning to speak that language now. That's why your old methods, logic, achievement, discipline are breaking down. They don't work in the new field you've entered. This is the greatest secret. The Matrix was not built to contain a fully integrated human. And now that you've integrated your shadow, you're no longer a predictable character. You've become a free agent, an anomaly, a soul with sovereignty, and that terrifies the system. So what happens after the collapse? You begin to generate a new field. At first, it's subtle. You start to attract experiences that reflect your inner truth, not your old wounds. You meet people who speak your soul's language. You stumble into opportunities that align with your frequency, not your resume. Life becomes holographic. You realize that everything is a mirror, and you're finally seeing clearly. And here's where it gets mystical. The more you live from your integrated self, the more reality bends around you. You speak, and the world responds. You feel, and the field shifts. You no longer chase outcomes, you embody them. Because you're not reacting anymore. You're radiating. Eventually, you realize something profound. You are not in the Matrix. The Matrix is in you. And the moment you realize that, you're free. You become the dreamer, not the dream. The programmer, not the code. You walk in the world, but you are no longer of it. You see the systems, the illusions, the games, and yet you play with love, with humor, with intention, because you know none of it can touch your essence. And that's when the final transformation occurs. You become a transmitter, not a teacher, not a guru, not a savior, a transmitter. You walk into rooms and shift the energy. You speak few words, but they land like thunder. You embody paradox, light and dark, joy and pain, sacred and profane. You are both the storm and the stillness. You become a living signal that reminds others you can wake up too. And some will, others won't, but it won't matter. Because you're no longer here to change the world. You're here to transmit a frequency so powerful, it rewrites the field, silently, invisibly, eternally. So I ask you, one last time, what part of you do you still believe must be hidden in order to be loved? Because that part is the key. Bring it to the surface. Let it breathe. Let it scream. Let it shine. And watch the Matrix collapse. Not with violence, not with fear, but with the undeniable power of a soul that remembers. This is how we survive the collapse, by becoming the ones who no longer need the system, by embodying what the system tried to delete, by walking as whole, integrated, divine humans. You are not here to escape the Matrix. You are here to overload it until the only thing left is truth.